Today's passage is Matthew chapter 15, verse 29 to 37. And Matthew in this passage describes vividly how the crowds would gather around Jesus and who they brought to him: the blind, the lame, the maimed, and others. These people would have been regarded as to blame for their ill health and their disabilities. They must have deserved it. They would have been ostracised and discriminated against. There was certainly no safety net for their well-being in a welfare state. They would not have been allowed into the temple, as their presence would have defiled its sacred precincts. The fact that these very same people were brought to Jesus in numbers speaks volumes about his attitude to them, his compassion, his acceptance, his concern. He healed them and made them whole. I would hazard a guess that his loving acceptance was a large part of the making whole that they needed. Today is World AIDS Day. It's an opportunity for people worldwide to unite in the fight against HIV, to support people living with HIV, to commemorate those who've died from AIDS-related illnesses. It was founded in 1988 and was the first ever Global Health Day. We don't hear much about HIV today, and of course today there are effective treatments. In the UK, 98% of people living with HIV are on effective treatments and can't pass the virus on. But that means about 100,000 people in the UK living with HIV and still experiencing stigma and discrimination. Globally, it's estimated at 38 million people who are living with the virus. It was only identified in 1984, but since then something like 35 million people have died of HIV or AIDS-related illnesses. As a comparison, something over 5 million have died from COVID-19 in the world so far. HIV didn't exist in Jesus' day, or at least it hadn't been identified. I have no doubt that Jesus would have welcomed HIV-positive people, that he would have healed those with the virus, that he would have associated with them as he did with other outcasts of his time. If we are followers of Jesus, then our attitudes need to mirror his, our compassion be aroused as his was, and our efforts directed at the relief of their suffering as his were. This applies, of course, to any group who suffer from stigma or discrimination. How can we do this? Well, some will wear a red ribbon on World AIDS Day. We can donate online to the National AIDS Trust and support that charity. The season of Advent has just begun. The time when we remember God's coming, the God who is about to arrive, and when we are reminded to be ready, alert, prepared for that meeting, that encounter, to give account for ourselves. There are so many opportunities around us today to do good, so very many, and very few good excuses for not taking up at least some of these opportunities.